Hello, and welcome back to this shit channel. The guy actual's Discord moderator is here, since he's on disabled pay for this upload. We have a giveaway for a brand new PS6, and here is some gameplay for its legitness. So just for your information, to enter the giveaway, you have to send me your grandmother's used shoes, specifically with a lingering smell in them, to enter for this fantastic giveaway. Now, on to the rest of the video. So here we are at the Guy Actual's Creepy Town Palace. When he was a young lad, he always looked like a murderer, and so he felt at home with other heinous fellows. This is the top 5 of his favorite spooky stories. Viewer discretion is ill-advised, and also recommended to have a change of pants with you at all times. For our first story, we have a short one. Strangers. A man and a woman happened to sit next to one another on a train. The woman took out a book and began reading. The train stopped at half a dozen stations, but she never looked up once. The man watched her for a while, then asked, "What are you reading?" "It's a ghost story," she said. "It's very good, very spooky." "Do you believe in ghosts?" he asked. "Yes, I do," she replied. "There are ghosts everywhere." "I don't believe in them," he said. "It's just a lot of superstition. In all my years, I've never seen a ghost. Not one." "Haven't you?" the woman said, and vanished. That story really jimmied my crickets. For our next story, we have something similar to a SpongeBob SquarePants episode. The Rock Bottom episode in particular. This sound is similar to that red-headed fuck located in Rock Bottom. This story is called No Cap, On God, No Kizzy. Here we go. After Sarah went to bed, she saw a ghost. It was sitting on her dresser, staring at her through 2 black holes, where its eyes had been. She shrieked, and her mother and father came running. "There's a ghost on my dresser," she said. Trembling, it's staring at me. When they turned on the light, it was gone. "You were having a bad dream," the father said. "Now go to sleep." But after they left, there it was again, sitting on her dresser, staring at her. She pulled a blanket over her head and fell asleep. The next night, the ghost was back. It was up on the ceiling, staring down at her. When Sarah saw it, she screamed. Again, her mother and father came running. "It's up on the ceiling," she said. When they turned on the light, nothing was there. "It's your imagination," her mother said, and gave her a hug. But after they left, there it was again, staring down at her from the ceiling. She put her head under the pillows and tried to fall asleep. The next night, the ghost was back. It was sitting on her bed, staring at her. Sarah called to her parents, and they came running. "It's on my bed," she said. "It's looking and looking at me." When they turned on the light, nothing was there. "You're upset over nothing," her father said. He kissed her on the nose and tucked her in. "Now go to sleep." Turning the page, give me a moment. But after they left, there it was again, sitting on her bed, staring at her. "Why are you doing this to me?" Sarah asked. "Why don't you leave me alone?" The ghost put its fingers in its ears and wiggled them at her. Then it stuck its tongue out and went just like that rock bottom fuck. And now I think I'm going to have PTSD. Next up is the Thing. The guy actual felt very connected to this story. He looks just as ugly and grotesque as the Thing in real life. Here we go. Ted, Martin, and Sam Miller were good friends. They spent a lot of time together. On this particular night, they were sitting on a fence near the post office, talking about one thing and another. There was a field of turnips across the road. Suddenly, they saw something crawl out of the field and stand up. It looked like a man, but in the dark, it was hard to tell for sure. Then it was gone. But soon, it appeared again. It walked halfway across the road. Then it happened and turned around and went back into the field. Then it came out a third time and started toward them. By now, Ted and Sam were scared. They started running. But when they finally stopped, they decided they were being foolish. They weren't sure what had scared them, so they decided to go back and get a better look. Pretty soon they saw it, for it was coming to meet them. It was wearing black pants, a white shirt, and black suspenders. Sam said, "I'm gonna try to touch it, and we'll know if it's real." He walked up to it and peered into its face. It had bright, penetrating eyes sunk deep into its head. It looked like a skeleton. Ted took one look and screamed. And again, he and Sam ran, but this time the skeleton followed them. When they got to Ted's house, they stood in the doorway and watched it. It stayed on the road for a while, and it disappeared. A year later, Ted got sick and died. Rip Bozo. Toward the end, Sam sat up with him every night. The night Ted died, Sam looked like he looked just like the skeleton. I know a man who looks just like that. His name cannot be spoken, but it rhymes with Shonky. Rattling off from our last story, we have Aaron Kelly's bones. Here we go. Aaron Kelly was dead. Rip Bozo. They bought him a coffin and had a funeral and buried him. But that night, he got out of his coffin and he came home. He had that reboot card. His family was sitting around the fire when he walked in. He sat down next to his widow and he said, "What's going on? You act all like somebody died. Who's dead?" The widow said, "You are." "I don't feel dead," he said. "I feel fine." "You don't look fine." His widow said, "You look dead. You'd better go back to the grave where you belong." "I'm not going back to the grave until I feel dead," he said. Since Aaron wouldn't go back to his widow, and his widow couldn't collect his life insurance, without that, she couldn't pay for the coffin, and the undertaker said he would take it back. Aaron didn't care. He just didn't care anymore. He just sat by the fire, rocking in a chair, and warming his hands and feet. But his joints were dry and his back was stiff, and every time he moved, he creaked and cracked. One night, the best fiddler in town came to court the widow. Since Aaron was dead, the fiddler wanted to marry her. The two of them sat on one side of the fire, and Aaron sat on the other, creaking and cracking. "How long do we have to put up with this dead corpse?" the widow asked. "Something must be done," the fiddler said. "This isn't very jolly," Aaron said. "Let's dance." The fiddler got out his fiddle and began to play. Aaron stretched himself, shook himself, got up, took a step or two, and began to dance. With his old bones rattling, and his yellow teeth snapping, and his bald head wagging, and his arms flip-flopping, around and around he went, like a Dr. fucking Seuss. With his long legs clicking, and his knee bones knocking, he skipped and pranced around the room. How that dead man danced! But pretty soon, a bone worked himself loose, and fell to the floor. "Look at that," said the fiddler. "Play faster," said the widow. The fiddler played faster. Crickety-crack, down and back, the dead man went popping, and his dry bones kept dropping. This way, that way, the pieces were just popping. "Play! Men, play!" cried the widow. The fiddler fiddled, and dead Aaron danced. Then Aaron fell apart, collapsed into a pile of bones. All except his bald head bone and his cock bone that grinned at the fiddler, cracked his teeth, and kept dancing. "Look at that!" groaned the fiddler. "Play louder!" cried the widow. "How, how!" said the head bone. "Aren't we having fun?" The fiddler couldn't stand it. "Widow," he said, "I'm going home." And he never came back. The family gathered up Aaron's bones and put them back in the coffin. They mixed them up so he couldn't be bit together. After that, Aaron stayed in his grave, but his widow never did get married again.
They played us like a damn fiddle!
And that is why you never marry a man with a fiddle. Last man that diddled his fiddle was a piece of shit named Devin. He never got married to a young maiden. And here it is, the pinnacle of all of the Creepy Town Palace. At least, this story is near and dear to my heart. We have the Big Toe, dedicated to all those grandmas with the succulent feet. Here we go. A boy was digging at the edge of the garden when he saw a big toe. He tried to pick it up, but it was stuck to something. So he gave it a good hard jerk, and it came off in his hand. Then he heard something groan. It was my dick, and scamper away. The boy took the toe into the kitchen and showed it to his mother. "It looks nice and plump," she said. "I'll put it in the soup, and we'll have it for supper." That night, his father carved the toe into 3 pieces, and they each had a piece. Then they did the dishes, and when it got dark, they went to bed. The boy fell asleep almost at once, but in the middle of the night, a sound awakened him. It was something out in the street. It was a voice, and it was calling to him. "Where is my toe?" It groaned. When the boy heard that, he got very scared. But he thought, it doesn't know where I am. It never will find me. Then he heard the voice once more, only now it was closer. "Where is my toe?" It groaned. The boy pulled the blankets over his head and closed his eyes. "I'll go to sleep," he thought. "When I wake up, it will be gone." But soon he heard the back door open, and he got into that back door. And again he heard the voice. Where is my toe? It groaned. Then the boy heard footsteps move through the kitchen, into the dining room, the living room, and into the front hall. Then slowly they climbed up the stairs. Closer and closer, I got close to coming. The closer and closer the footsteps came. Soon they were in the upstairs hall. Now they were outside his door. Where is my toe? The voice groaned. His door opened, shaking with fear. He listened as the footsteps slowly moved through the dark toward his bed. Then they stopped. Where is my toe? The voice groaned. You've got it! Now that is the original ending for the big toe. But due to my editing skills, I've edited the story in my own version. When the boy hears the voice calling for its toe, he finds a strange-looking creature up inside the chimney. The boy is so frightened, he can't move. He just stands there and stares at it. Finally he asks, What you got such nice big eyes for? And the creature answers, to look you through and through. What you got such big claws for? To scratch up your grave. What you got such a nice big mouth for? To swallow your hard cock full. What you got such sharp teeth for? To chop your bones and cock. And wow, that reaches us to the end of our stories. They really make me shiver my timbers. Now, not as scary as our normal 5 stories. We have 3 dishonorable mentions. Such classics as Surviving 5 Nights with Mario Judah. The Return the Slap episode from the series Courage the Cowardly Dog. And from the twisted mind of the guy Actual's laptop, we have The Man with the Raptor Feet. If we hit our like goal of 15 likes in the next 48 hours, we'll release our full story in the same manner as these, of a twisted man who could never go to sleep because of his own laziness. Here is our trailer of The Man with the Raptor Feet. One man who resembled more of a fat slob than a homie could never go to sleep. He would toss and turn and shred his sheets into scraps that looked just like his raggedy acid drip. His toenails were so vile and disgusting, his own mother hit the Quan and left. When she hit the gritty out of the living world, it put him in such grief that he never cut his toes. It was his mother's favorite piece about him, and was his way of keeping her memory alive. What shoes does she have on in that casket? And with that concludes our action-packed trailer for The Man with the Raptor Feet. If you guys want to hear more of dogshit stories like this, please hit that bell and subscribe. Leave a like on the video and comment your favorite story. Mine was, of course, those succulent toes. Please send me your grandmother's swollen feet. I have a P.O. box in the description. Please click on it. I need those toes. That is all the time that the guy Actual has left me to make the video. Goodbye, good night, and see you in your dreams.